Madeline Brooks never imagined that the sound of her husband's phone vibrating would become the moment her entire life split into two. It was a quiet Thursday evening, and Nathan Carter was upstairs taking a shower after another late night at the office. His phone buzzed across the kitchen counter, lighting up with a message that wasn't meant for her eyes. She wasn't snooping. She simply glanced at the screen as it flashed. "Last night meant everything to me. I already miss you." The message came from a woman saved only as a... Madeline felt her heart stop, but years of working as a forensic accountant had taught her one priceless lesson: emotion makes people sloppy, while patience uncovers the truth. Instead of confronting Nathan, she unlocked his phone using the passcode she'd known since the day they got married and typed a reply before she could lose her nerve. "Come over. She's gone." Seconds later, the reply appeared. "Finally, I've waited months for this." Madeline deleted the conversation, placed the phone exactly where she'd found it, and acted as though nothing had happened. Nathan walked downstairs smiling, kissed her forehead, claimed he had an emergency client meeting, and drove away 15 minutes later. The silence inside the house became unbearable as Madeline waited. Every minute felt like an hour until the doorbell finally rang. She opened the door expecting a glamorous young woman ready to steal her husband forever. Instead, standing on the porch was an elegant brunette in her early 30s holding a small overnight bag and a bouquet of white lilies. The woman's smile disappeared the instant she saw Madeline. Her face turned completely white. The flowers slipped from her hand and scattered across the porch. She stared as though she had seen a ghost. Then, with trembling lips, she whispered words that made Madeline's blood run cold. "No, that's impossible." Madeline frowned. "Can I help you?" The stranger took 3 slow steps backward, unable to stop staring. You're supposed to be dead." Every hair on Madeline's body stood up. Before she could ask another question, the woman pulled out her phone and opened a photograph. It showed Nathan smiling beside her on a beach, his arm wrapped around her waist. Madeline's breath caught, but it wasn't the picture that shattered her world. It was the caption Nathan had written beneath it. "Starting our new life together now that my wife passed away 6 months ago." Madeline felt the ground disappear beneath her feet. Nathan hadn't told another woman he was getting divorced. He hadn't said they were separated. He had convinced her that his own wife was dead. The stranger looked up with tears filling her eyes. "He said cancer took you. He cried when he told me. We were engaged." She slowly lifted her left hand, revealing the diamond ring Nathan had purchased just 3 weeks earlier using money from Madeline's own savings account. Before either woman could say another word, headlights swept across the driveway. Nathan's car pulled in. The stranger looked toward the window in panic while Madeline slowly closed the front door behind her. Nathan stepped out of his car smiling, completely unaware that the 2 women whose lives he destroyed were standing together inside his house, waiting for him. Madeline didn't panic when Nathan walked through the front door. She simply looked at the young woman beside her and whispered, "Don't say a word. Let him explain." Nathan stepped inside carrying a bottle of wine, smiling exactly the way he had every Thursday for 8 years. The smile vanished the instant he saw both women standing in the living room. The bottle slipped from his hand and shattered across the hardwood floor. His face lost every trace of color. "Madeline," he stammered before looking toward the brunette. "Olivia. I can explain." Olivia Monroe's voice cracked with disbelief. "You told me your wife died of cancer. We picked out wedding venues. You introduced me to your parents. You asked me to help raise our future children." Nathan desperately reached for her hand, but she stepped away in disgust. Madeline quietly walked to the dining table and placed Nathan's phone beside the engagement photo Olivia had shown her. "No," Madeline said calmly. "You don't get to explain to her first. You explain to me." Nathan fell to his knees, insisting it had started as one lie that spiraled out of control. He admitted meeting Olivia almost a year earlier during a business conference. Too ashamed to admit he was married, he had casually claimed he was widowed, never imagining the relationship would become serious. When Olivia fell in love with him, he kept inventing bigger lies rather than confessing the truth. Madeline listened without interrupting until he finally stopped talking. Then she quietly asked the only question that mattered. Did you ever love me? Nathan lowered his head and whispered, yes. Madeline smiled sadly. Then, why did you spend our savings on another woman's engagement ring? Nathan froze. He hadn't realized she already knew. Olivia slowly removed the diamond ring from her finger and placed it on the table between them. You bought this with your wife's money? She asked, tears streaming down her face. Nathan couldn't answer. Olivia walked toward Madeline and, instead of apologizing with excuses, simply said, I am so sorry. I would never have touched your life if I'd known the truth. For the first time that night, Madeline believed her. The next morning, Madeline called Benjamin Foster, the city's most respected divorce attorney, and handed him everything: bank statements, messages, receipts, photos, and recordings Nathan had never imagined existed. As a forensic accountant, she'd quietly copied every financial transaction from their joint accounts overnight. What Nathan didn't know was that he'd violated multiple financial disclosure laws by secretly transferring marital assets before filing for divorce. Weeks later, during the divorce hearing before Judge Victoria Reynolds, Nathan arrived convinced he could negotiate a favorable settlement. Instead, Benjamin presented months of financial evidence proving Nathan had hidden assets, misused marital funds, and committed fraud during the marriage. Judge Reynolds' expression hardened with every new document. When Nathan's own parents learned he had lied about Madeline being dead while using her money to build a second life, they stood up and walked out of the courtroom without saying a single word. Olivia testified voluntarily, confirming every lie Nathan had told her and admitting she had been deceived just as completely as Madeline. The courtroom fell silent as Judge Reynolds awarded Madeline nearly everything Nathan had tried to hide, including the family home, the majority of their investments, and substantial financial compensation for his fraudulent conduct during the proceedings. Outside the courthouse, reporters surrounded Nathan while cameras captured the headline that spread across social media within hours. Business executive faked wife's death to secretly start new life. His employer terminated him that same afternoon. Major clients canceled their contracts, and the wedding venue Olivia had booked publicly announced it was donating her canceled reservation deposit to a cancer charity after learning the truth. 6 months later, Nathan knocked on Madeline's front door carrying no flowers, no gifts, and no excuses. He simply whispered, I lost everything. Madeline looked at the man she had once planned to grow old with and answered quietly, No, Nathan. You lost everything the day you decided I was easier to bury than to be honest with. She gently closed the door, walked back into the home she had rebuilt on her own terms, and smiled as sunlight filled the room. In the end, the greatest revenge wasn't watching Nathan's life collapse. It was knowing that every beautiful chapter of Madeline's future would be written by truth, while Nathan would spend the rest of his life haunted by the lie that destroyed his own.